In the last class, we had discussed about what is an activity. We also saw in detail about what is the activity life cycle. Okay, so these were discussed in the last class. Also, I did a simple program in which I had just added a little bit more life cycle methods to the already existing project what we had created. The activity which we had already created, I just added on create, on start, on resume, on pause, on stop, on destroy, and on restart. Okay, I told you guys to try it on your own. I don't know how many of you tried, but then in this class, I'll be showing you, I'll be continuing what we saw in the last class, and I'll show you the various scenarios and what other part or what other scenario will an activity go through. Okay, so I will be discussing that in today's class. So just a quick recap of what we had seen. There are almost 7 life cycle methods in the life cycle of an activity. And before that, what is an activity? An activity is a small screen or a user interface, what the user actually sees and interacts with. Okay, activity is nothing but a simple user interface. Okay, it's just an user interface. Whatever you see on your Android phone is basically an activity. All right, let it be the first screen, the next screen, the third screen, or the chat screen, or your sharing screen. Whatever you see on the screen is basically an activity. Apart from that, we also discussed 3 more other components which are very essential, but I will be taking about broadcast receiver, service, and content provider, all those things in one class. But I'm going to give more focus on the first component, which is activity. Okay, that is why I'm taking the second class also with this. Okay, so let me show you what are the other things. So in last class, I've already discussed when you just launch your app, please note the word which I'm using, guys. When you launch your app, the main activity gets launched. Okay, the main activity gets launched first thing. All right, and once the main activity starts, all right, the first method which will be called is by default on create, which you need not write. System will automatically put this in place. Okay, this is the most important method and is the first ever method to be called when you open or when you launch an activity. First thing. Second thing, after on create, immediately it starts the second lifecycle method, which is start, on start. Okay, so this is in created mode, this is started. Okay, what is the difference between these two? One is not, this is not something where which shows the user input, okay, or which shows the UI. It only sets the view. It tells where to fetch the view from. That's all. Okay, but what has happened in on start? It actually shows the UI to you. Okay, and it activates the UI for you. And when does the UI be interactive and you can start entering data is from the resume method. So when you're working with an activity, you are in basically a resumed state. So these 3 will be called one after the other immediately: on create, on start, on resume. Then when I press the back button, or when I'm trying to destroy an activity, basically the first ever method which will be called is on pause. What happens in on pause? It just pauses your UI. Okay, what do you mean by pausing your UI? No interaction anymore. Okay, you cannot interact with your controls anymore the moment it is paused. Then what is stop? The moment it is stopped, it is not visible to you anymore. Please note, I'm telling 2 different words. One is the UI is not accessible. It's not interactive to you in pause method. It is not being seen by you in the stop method. Once the stop method is called, the UI will not be in your sight. It is removed from your sight. That's the idea. Last one, on destroy. What happens when destroy? This activity is removed from memory. Okay, so it is destroyed. That's the last one. Now, what if I temporarily move out of my activity? I didn't intend to destroy it, but I just pressed the home button, or a call came, or I did something else, okay, or a very important app came on top. Okay, all these things happen. What will happen? In that case, on pause and on stop will come because it is not shown to you anymore, but it is still running in the background, which means destroy will not be called. So when you have finished your work, when you come back, on restart will be called. On restart, when it is called, automatically the remaining things will be start and resume. Okay, this is what I showed you in the last class. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what are the other possibilities of this life cycle. So let me keep the logcat open. Let me just run the app once again. Okay, so the app is already installed on my phone on the emulator here. Yesterday I was not able to show you the recently used one because my emulator had some issues. I fixed it. Okay, so let me just tap on the icon. Okay, this is my app which I have installed. Let me just tap on it. Okay, and let's see what are the lifecycle methods which are triggered. you can see that the app is visible in my emulator. In the background, in the developer point of view, I can see that there is on create called, then on start called, then on resume called. In the last class, I directly pressed the back button. When I pressed the back button, it called pause, stop, and destroy, and it went off. But today, I'm going to press the recently used apps, or when I just press the home button. Okay, so I'm going to click the recently used apps. Okay, when I say recently used apps, what will happen? You guys mostly would have seen this, right? Recently used apps, when I tap on it, see what the lifecycle method is being called. Okay, on pause and on stop, not on destroy. On pause and on stop have been called, not on destroy. Okay, so you might ask, my screen is still visible, no? How can I say on stop has been called? Okay, the on stop closes the activity, that's all. So what am I seeing here? This is the preview which comes from the operating system, from the cache of your app, okay, which is called as the saved instance. It's called as an instance which is saved in your operating system. You would have seen that when you open a lot of apps and you see that the recently used apps. Okay, let me just press the home button and come out. Nothing happens here because you're already out of the app. Okay, let me open another app and keep it, any app for that sake, guys. You can open a lot of apps and keep. Now let me just press the recently used button. Okay, you see that again I'm able to see two. One is the first app which I have installed, Hello World. Then I did some changes to that app and it is there, but no life cycle is changed in my current app right now. Okay, so I'm able to see all those things right now because it is there from the system's cache. I'm showing this is done by the system, not by my app. When I press the recently used app, system brings me all these things to me. Okay, so now let me go back and launch my app once again. What happens? Okay, since stop has been called, I cannot resume. Once you have clicked on stop, like for example, you guys would have used a VLC player or any media player for that sake. There is a huge difference between pausing and stopping the video. Okay, what is the difference? So, if you pause a video, when you click on play, or you can't call it as play, it's called as resume anymore. If you call it as pause, you resume. What is pause doing? It just halts. Or for example, if you're watching a movie and you click on pause, wherever you are, it gets stuck. Okay, it doesn't move as a movie anymore. It just gets paused, which means anymore you are not able to interact or you're not able to see anything happening, but the screen is still there. But when you click on stop, okay, there's a small difference. When you click on stop, VLC player is still there, but video, even preview will not be there. It will become the black screen once again. When you click on stop, okay, when you click on pause, video is there, movie is still playing, okay, but only thing is it doesn't move forward. It just gets paused at that particular frame where you have paused. But when you click on stop, okay, the seek bar or the progress bar goes back to 0 and your screen becomes black. The same idea here. Pause will just pause my screen, but it will not be invisible to my screen. But when I click on back or destroy, pause, stop also is getting called. So I'll not be, the entire user interface has been hidden. But when I started once again, after you have stopped, you cannot resume. Please remember that. Okay, I've stopped a video. Okay, when I click on play anymore, it will not resume from 2 minutes what I stopped it at. Okay, it will start from the beginning only. Then you will be, the system might say, should I resume from this particular point? Then you say resume. Okay, but when you restart, it starts from the beginning and resumes your activity. Okay, please remember this. This is what I said. So restart, start and resume. Please note till now my app has not been destroyed yet. Okay, now let me do one more thing. Let me again go for recently used. Okay, you see that pause is called and stop is also called because it's not interactive anymore. It is not there in the UI anymore. Okay, now what I'm doing is, after I do this, most of you would have done this to remove apps from your memory. What would you do? You'll just swipe it up. Okay, you will remove it from memory. Let me remove it from memory. When I did that, okay, after doing that, let me come back to my app. Okay, you can see that my app is dead. Okay, so there is no, the app is dead, so there's no response from my app to the logcat. Okay, but it has been destroyed. I cleared the entire app. Okay, so the app has been destroyed and it is not showing here because it is destroyed. I manually destroyed it. I didn't go through a proper procedure. Okay, this is what happens when I click on a particular app. Okay, it starts. I go back. On pause, on stop is there. Let me just remove it. On destroy is getting called. I removed it from recently used. On destroy is called, which means it's removed from memory, not the please note, when I removed this right now, I removed it from memory. Okay, please note that when I remove it from memory, I removed the app, not the activity. Okay, when I removed the app, since the activity is inside the app, everything got destroyed. I hope you follow. All right, so for example, you guys open WhatsApp. The first screen what you see is an activity. The chat screen, the list of chat what you see is a activity. When I tap a particular person's chat, I'm opening another activity. Okay, so 2 3 activities are there in that particular app, but when I remove it, all activities will get destroyed because all activities are packed inside one app. I hope this logic is clear to you guys. Okay, this is one way. Now this is one way your activity life cycle is working. Now let me do one more thing. Let me launch the activity. Okay, now please note, while I've launched my activity is like this, on create, on start, on resume. I'm able to work while I'm working on the app, while I'm clicking on it. Okay, let's say that I give some number, and when I click on it, okay, what happens? All those things are part of the app. Nothing is changing in the activity life cycle because I am in the resumed state and I'm working with my activity. Nothing is added to the life cycle because you are in the resumed state and your activity is active now. Now, while I'm working with the app, let's say that I've tilted or twisted my phone. Okay, you guys know there is a feature called rotate, right? Normally your phones, you would have enabled it or disabled it, it is your wish. Okay, auto rotate, which means when I tilt my phone, what will happen? Okay, see, since I'm using an emulator, I'm just tilting using this rotate method. Okay, please note that I am not this is not an actual phone. If it is an actual phone, I'll just tilt it, but in case I'm using an emulator, I can just click on rotate. Okay, let me rotate it. So what will happen when I rotate it? Okay, please, I want you guys to notice this. My app is active, my activity is running, everything is proper, and I'm just going to rotate my screen. What happens to my activity? Please note that. Okay, look here as well as here. Okay, first of all, my app got rotated. Okay, it is again fitting the screen, the entire screen and all is happening. That is secondary. Okay, look at this part. What happened? My app created, started, resumed. It was there in that state. When I rotated it, it says pause, stop, destroy was called when I just rotated my activity. I just rotated my activity and it called pause, stop and destroy. And then what happened? Create, start and resume. It recreated, okay, my activity once again because it has to fit this size, the portrait size as well as the landscape size. Okay, so whatever you do, auto rotate or however you do it, when you bring it back to this particular location, okay, when you are rotating your screen and your screen understands that it has been rotated, okay, you can see that the activity which is getting triggered. Yes, now it's proper. Again, you see pause, stop, destroy, create, start, resume. Those things are happening when you rotate. Just rotate your phone and the activity gets changed. Okay, this is what happens in the life cycle of an activity while you just tilt your phone. But it is not visible to us. We don't care what happens, right? But then the entire activity gets destroyed, then recreates itself to fit the screen size. Okay, remember this also, guys. It's important. All right, now let me show another scenario. Another scenario is very simple. Imagine if a call comes. Okay, like say for example, right now I kept the cursor here so that you know that my cursor is blinking here, which means my interactive, my app activity is right now interactive with me. It's expecting me to enter something. Now, what happens when I'm working with this activity? Some call comes. Okay, please note earlier the phones which are I think Android 6 and below. Okay, they when the call comes, any other app which is there in front is ignored. Call becomes the highest priority. Okay, it takes up the full screen of your phone. Please remember that. That is if you are using an older version of Android. But recently, if you have noticed, when you're working with an app, call will come on the top. Okay, now how do I trigger a call in an emulator? I'll show that now. But in an actual phone, you know, just ask another phone, take another phone and call your phone. Take your dad or mom or brother's phone and then try to just give a call to your own phone. Okay, while you're opening this activity and connect it to your phone, all those things. Okay, now here, those who are using emulator, just click on these 3 small dotted buttons here and open the settings. Okay, there are a lot of settings extra, extended controls are there. Please choose the one which says phone. Okay, I'm going to just choose this particular thing called phone, and you can see that you can change the number and just give a call device. Okay, so let the number be as it is. I'm going to just click on call device. Please note, a call is going to be coming to my Android emulator. Okay, so when a call comes while I'm using an app, what will happen? In current, and this is the latest Android version. So when I click on call device, a call starts coming into my emulator. I hope you guys can see this. Okay, that number which I have given here, an incoming call. You have a choice of answering or declining, but let me just show you here. Nothing happened in my activity lifecycle. My lifecycle is still in resume method because my cursor is still blinking here. I hope you can see that. My cursor is still blinking. I am in the resume state. Okay, the moment I tap on answer, I am giving control back to the call app. Please notice that. Let me just clear the logcat. I'll come back to my phone, okay, or emulator. Let me just answer that call. When I reject it, it's a different thing. When I answer the call, what will happen? Let me just answer first, then we'll see what happens when you decline it. Okay, let me just click on answer. When I clicked on answer, what happened? The call window is on the top. The call window is on top, guys. Please note that. Right now, it's showing like as if a call is happening. Okay, so the call window. Right now, I can just go back. But as soon as you pick the call, you have given the priority to the call. Right? So what happened to my current activity? Pause and stop. What do you mean by that? It's not visible to the user anymore because it's gone to the background. Okay, but the activity is not destroyed. My activity is still working. How do I know that? Let me just cut the call. All right, when I cut the call, my app came back. Okay, what happened here? Restart, start, resume. My activity got restarted. So start and resume got called. Now I'm in the resume mode and I'm working. I hope you guys follow. Okay, this is also activity life cycle. What happens during various phases? Okay, I'm just giving a few scenarios. There might be more scenarios, but we are just exploring one by one. Okay, now I'll call it once again. When I'm giving the call, please note, since I'm in using an activity, okay, nothing is going to happen to my activity. My activity is still in resume method. Okay, now I'm going to click on decline. Okay, I did not touch my app. I hope you guys can be able to see that, right? I did not touch my app, but I just clicked on reject, which means my app takes more priority. I've cut that call. Okay, I've rejected the call. I hope you guys follow this, right? Now, this is one. Now let me show you another thing. Let me just test one more thing. When you click on the power button of your phone, normally what will happen? Okay, when you click on the power button for a long time, it will ask you to restart, power off, all those things. But if I just tap it once, okay, when I tap it once, I have just locked my phone. Okay, this is in a real phone, guys. In emulator, I just tapped on the power button. I did not hold it. I just tapped on it. So what happened to my app right now? My app activity, sorry, not my app. Activity is running inside the app. So my activity is right now paused and stopped. It's not visible to the user anymore. This is one more scenario. So what about if I open my thing once again? If I unlock my phone, restart, start and resume. Okay, this is another scenario, guys. I hope you guys follow, right? These are the things in which your activity life cycle goes. So it is very essential to know what to do in every activity life cycle. This is what I'm saying. This is very essential for people who are developing apps which will have support from other apps. Like for example, let's say that you're recharging. Okay, you're using Airtel or BSNL or some app, and then you're trying to recharge your phone. Okay, when you tap on that, it says pay using Google Pay or pay using Phone Pay or something like that. That time, your app should go in the background and Phone Pay or Google Pay should come in the foreground. If you press the back button of your Airtel app, okay, please remember that I told this already in the class. If you press the back button, you will not be able to proceed your transaction. Okay, but rather if you wanted to open Google Pay, they will say open Google Pay. Okay, you cannot press the back button. You have to open Google Pay without pressing the back button. What would you do? You will press the home button. You will come to the home screen. Then you go open Google Pay, pay that, and then again open. You will not switch it. You will just go to the recently used apps. Come back to your app. When you come back to your app, once the Google Pay is proper, your Airtel will say recharge successfully. This is normally the flow in which your program goes. Keep that in mind, guys. So these are the different scenarios in which your activity lifecycle gets triggered. Okay, keep that in mind. Let me just close this. Let me just change the code a little bit. Right now, all I've told is with respect to one activity, guys. Okay, remember that. All I've spoken so far is with respect to only one activity. What if I have another activity? What if I have 10 activities? Every activity will have its own life cycle. Okay, I'll repeat again. Every activity will have its own life cycle. Keep that in mind. So now, to demonstrate that, I am going to add another activity to this current project. In this project, already one activity is there. Please remember that there is already one activity called main activity. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this folder called app and say new. Okay, there is an option called new, and then I'm going to find something which says activity. I'll just keep it there for a second. I want you guys to notice this. I've just right clicked on my app, the folder which says app. Okay, doesn't matter which project name you have given, this folder name will be app only. All right, so once I've clicked on new, I got a bigger option. In that one, I've chosen something called activity. The first choice, what you see there is activity. All right, inside that activity, you have a lot of choices. Basic activity, the bottom navigation activity, empty activity, login activity, full screen, like that. A lot of activities are there. I am going to choose one which says empty activity. For all my program, I'll be using empty activity only. Later, once we have got accustomed with all these things, I'll change to other activities also. Okay, let me just choose an empty activity. Now you see, it shows I'm going to choose an empty activity. Since already main activity exists, it adds one 2 to it. Okay, I don't want that. I'm going to name it properly. Always remember activity name. First of all, when I removed it, it says it must be unique. Of course, it should be unique. All right. Now, let the word activity be there. Do not remove the word activity. Let the word be as it is there. Okay. Only thing, you add some other word. What that activity is going to do. Since I'm only demonstrating, I'm using the word second activity. Main activity, another activity, which is second activity. So please note the name of the file is activity name is second activity. All right, I want you guys to focus that it is called second activity. Very simple. Below that, there is a small checkbox which says if you have enabled it, a layout file also will be generated. It is obviously should be enabled because you won't be creating it manually. It is difficult. Instead of that, we'll do together. Okay, so when you create something called second activity, this is the Java file. The name of the Java file. What is this then? Name of the XML file. Design code. Okay, so when I remove the word second, and you see the layout name becomes activity underscore and it waits. Okay, so when you give a name, it automatically gets translated or converted into smaller case with an underscore in between. It is the name of the UI layout to create for this activity. Okay, below that there is one more question, guys. All right, launcher activity. What do you mean by this? By now you would have understood what does it mean. Are you going to make this activity as the launcher activity? What if I make this launcher activity? Next time you tap on the app icon, you won't see my main activity. You'll be seeing this activity, which is second activity. All right, this is not what I want. Okay, I want main activity to be a launcher, so I'll not enable this. I'll leave it as it is. What's the package name? Same package name, because I'm creating this activity under the same app. Okay, same language, Java, and the target is main. Okay, it's in the main folder. Let me just click on finish. So when you do so, what happens? It just generates everything for you automatically. So all I've done here is give a name. All right, so the moment I did that, you see another file got created called second activity.java, and right next to that you will have activity underscore second.xml. Two files are created. One has the code, one has the design. This is the design of the second activity. Please note, I have two activities right now in my one app. My app's name is Hello World. There are two activities inside this one app called as Hello World. Okay, one activity is named as main activity. The second activity is named as second activity.java. I've just given this for your demonstration purposes. And every time you add a new activity, your Gradle will start building and all these processes will happen. It will take only a few minutes. Then after that, it will be ready for you to use. So now I have main activity. Now I have second activity. All right. So just to distinguish between these two, what I will do is wherever I've used the word life cycle, I'll put life cycle A1, activity 1. Okay, let me just choose this word. I'll copy that word. I'll press Ctrl R to replace. Wherever I put life cycle, I'll replace it with lifecycle A1 so that wherever the log says A1, I know it's activity 1 or main activity. Okay, so let me just replace all. So I've replaced it in 7 methods or 7 places. Okay, so wherever you see lifecycle, now it says lifecycle A1. Okay, and it says instart or resume or pause or stop or destroy, whatever it is. Now let me go and do the same thing in second activity also. Okay, so I'll just copy that and put it here, guys. Okay, this is when there are two activities, how will the life cycle be triggered? Okay, that's what I'm trying to do. So in the on create of this one, I'll copy paste this and I'll remove that A1 and make it as A2. Okay, done. Now same way how I created in that same main activity, I'll do it in the second activity also. On create is done. So next one will be on start. I'll press control space and press enter. Okay, I'll create a small method. Below that I'll put in on start method. Okay, that's done. Next, let me by the way, I can directly copy paste also, but I'm purposely typing. Okay, on resume. Okay, type that and press enter. It will generate this, copy paste this and say on resume. Okay, that is done. Next, after on resume, let me type on pause. Okay, let me generate the method, paste it, and here I'll write on pause. Next, I'll write on stop. Let me press enter, copy paste it. Okay, let me just change this to on stop again. Last one, I'll just say on, sorry, not last one, last but one, on destroy. I'll put this and say on destroy method. Last one, I'll put on restart. Okay, I'll put this and I'll say on restart. On restart method, done. So I've done the same thing here in the second activity. Only thing I've written in second activity is life cycle. Okay, now life cycle method only I've written and it will be added to your logcat. That's all. Okay, so nothing in the design, nothing in the logic. Logic part only is said every time it reaches a particular life cycle, display that to me. That's all. Okay, so I have main activity, I have second activity. That's all. Now, but there is never a link between main activity to second activity. Okay, please remember that there is no link between the main activity and the second activity. So with this code, what I have, if I run 1000 times also, I will never be able to see second activity.java. Okay, why? Because I have not linked it in the main activity. So main activity is like the entry point to your app. When you tap or when you do something, it should go to another activity. That option should be given. Like for example, if you go to the settings page, in the main activity, there will be a link to the settings page of WhatsApp or any application for that sake. Okay, from there you will access another activity which will tell the settings of this activity. Like that it goes on. Okay, so every activity should be linked appropriately. I'll talk about the links, how to make a link from one activity to another in detail in another class. Here I'm just going to assume like how you do a hyperlink. All right, for example, in HTML you write a href, okay, equal to second page dot HTML. You can just click on it and it goes to the next page, right? So from one page you are going to another page. Okay, I'll explain that a little bit detail later. But since I already put two buttons on the design of the main activity, let me just show you the design. This activity I already have, so I don't want to write code now. Let me just say, if you click on subtract, I want you to go to the second activity. Okay, I'm just going to ignore what I've already written for subtract method. Okay, so let me just comment that line. This is the subtract button, guys, btn sub. Okay, so let me comment whatever is written already, so that will not be triggered, and whatever I'm writing here will be taking me to the second activity. So in order to go from one activity to another, the keyword here in Android will be intent. Okay, I'm repeating again, intent. What is the intent? My intention is to go from one activity to another. My target, okay, my destination. Where am I trying to go? Okay, that is given by a keyword called intent. Please remember that the keyword here is intent. All right, so I'll just press intent. Let me just name it as I, or you can give small letter intent. It's your wish. Okay, so let me just give I, just for your understanding. Intent is equal to. All right, so should I create a new intent? Okay, so let me create a new intent, and this is a class, right? So I'll need to pass two parameters. Okay, this is a simple intent, but I need to pass two constructors to this particular intent. Okay, so what is the first thing? What do you call the first parameter? I'll explain this a little bit in depth in another class, guys. Here I'm not targeting intent, I'm targeting activities. So I'm going to just type the code which says from here, from this class. So I'll just say from this class to where? To second activity class. Okay, I'm only telling two things. I'll explain this shortly, but then this, how to fix this, I'll just say from main activity dot this to second activity dot class. I'll explain that in the next class. All right, but just saying right now, just for understanding, remember like this. I'm creating an intent. I need to pass two parameters, from address to address. From address main activity. Why am I not mentioning class? Because I'm already inside that class. So I'm just referring using the keyword called this. And where are you trying to go? I'm trying to go to second activity. You might say, why am I not writing .java? Why am I not writing is, while your program is running, there is no .java. .java is only while you're developing. While you're running it, it becomes .class. So I'm saying from here, go to this class. That's all. And the next line, I'm telling this is, you have just created an intent. You have not told the system to go to that intent. So you have an inbuilt method called start activity. And within brackets, you're supposed to pass the intent object, which I'm just passing as intent. Okay, this I'll explain in another class, guys. But just like these two lines are required to move from one page to another. Okay, so one activity to another. So when you click on start activity, it starts the second activity. Okay, this is the second activity. So now let me just run my program. Okay, please note, if I click on the subtract button, it should go to the next page. That's what we have written so far. So let me wait for the program to run, and I'm just repeating again here what I've written and how to move from one page to another, how to pass data from one activity to another. I'll take in another class. Okay, but here all I've done is, if you click on this button in this main activity, I'll take you to the second activity. Okay, but please do remember, I'm not bothered about the code which is written. I'm only focused on the lifecycle activity. So let me just clear the logcat and keep it ready when it starts. So as soon as activity 1 launches, okay, from A1, activity 1, I should see on create, on start, on resume. Okay, and as soon as I click on submit button, I'm moving from one activity to another activity. All right, at that time, what should happen? Just guess, guys. Okay, just keep a guess and be ready. So that you can verify what your guess is correct or wrong. Okay, so when I click on subtract button, I am moving from main activity to the second activity. All right, so right now you can see the code which is written there, or the logcat. Okay, you can see lifecycle A1 has started, has created, started, resumed. Okay, so now it's working. What happens if I click on subtract button? You know what happens when I do back button, home buttons, recent button, because that's all system based. But within the app, right now I am in the app, I'm clicking on subtract. All I've written the code is go from this activity, main activity, to the second activity. So I'm going to click on it. Just see what happens. I've opened the second activity, guys. Okay, so now I want you guys to understand what has happened when I clicked on subtract, which took me to the second activity in the same app. Hello world only, but it is second activity. Okay, so what will happen here? In my first activity, I was in all which says A1 is my first activity. Please remember that. Okay, so A1 on create, on start, on resume was called. Okay, then I was here, guys. Then I tapped on the subtract button, which took me to the second page. Okay, what happened to my A1? My A1 has been paused, which means it became temporarily disabled. Okay, it is not interactive. Then my A2, second activity, started immediately because on create takes more precedence. Okay, so on create, on start, on resume of my second activity happened. Now at that point, your first activity is no longer visible. So on stop also got for A1. Activity 1 got paused and stopped. Okay, now you can guess what will happen next. If I press the back button now, what will happen? Okay, I'm asking this question to you guys. Can you guys predict and tell me, if I press the back button now, what and all will I see on the logcat? Can you guess and let me know? Can you put it in the chat, guys? Or you can, yeah, you can just put it in the chat. If I press the back button, what and all will happen? If you're not telling me to, it's fine. But in your piece of paper also, you can write it down and just think what will happen if I press the back button right now. It is going back to activity 1. Okay. It destroys the life cycle of A2 and on resume in A1. Okay. Resume cannot happen without starting it. So it has to restart. Okay, so the methods should be proper. Now, others, please do note what happens when I click on back button. Okay, almost what he has told, but then the thing is, no, that I understood. It will go back to A1. No, it's fine. But I'm talking about the life cycle only, guys, not about the activities. I know it will go back to activity 1 because right now activity 2 is running. If I go back, activity 1 will come in front because I'm still in the same app. Okay, so when I press the back button, this activity should get destroyed. So let me just press the back button. Now you see where I've highlighted below that, you see on pause, on restart, on pause of A2 is called, and the same time on restart of A1 is called, on start and on resume of A1 is being focused because A2 is now have least priority. It's gone back to the it's not visible to the user anymore. But since you have pressed the back button, it is not it stops and it destroys A2. A1 is not destroyed yet. A1 has not been destroyed yet. I hope you guys follow what is happening here. Okay, this is the life cycle of individual activities. When you press the back button of your phone, your current activity, whichever activity you're working on, gets destroyed. Then goes back to the whatever activity is there. So when I tap on subtract, what happens to my this activity? It just goes to the background. Okay, the second activity comes on top of this. So since the UI is occupied by second activity, you see, I'll repeat again. Okay, let me clear this. Okay, so right now I've opened my first activity. Let me click on open the second activity. You see pause, create a pause of A1 and stop of A1 is happening. Okay, A2 gets created, started and resumed. So right now you are being able to interact with the second activity. When I press the back button, A2, just focus on A2. A2 gets paused, A2 gets stopped, A2 gets destroyed. Okay, keep this in mind. Let me just show you another scenario. I've opened subtract, which means my A1 is not destroyed. A2 is also not now destroyed. Now A2 is in the resumed mode. Okay, A1 is in the stop mode. Please remember this. Now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to press the home button. Okay, or let me just go to recently used apps. What happened? Okay, on pause, on stop of A2 has been triggered. On pause and on stop of A2 has been triggered. Now I'm removing this app from memory. Okay, it didn't have time to show the A1 because A2 got destroyed because I removed it from the RAM. Okay, so the moment it got time, it logged it as on destroy method was called. So it's destroyed the activity. Not only the activity, I've removed the entire app from the screen. So if I open Hello World now, main activity will launch again. When I say launch, it will start from the beginning. On create of A1, it goes on like this. Okay, I hope you guys follow how the life cycle of activity works. It is very essential and crucial for you to understand how this activity life cycle works. Okay, both for theoretical and practical purposes, guys. Okay, so I hope this is clear. With this, I'll stop for today. If you have any questions, please do ask.